Authenticity is one of the hardest things that human beings can fully understand. Why? Because everything in our life is pushing us to be something that we're not. Whether it's our situation that we can't control that makes us want to be something that we know we aren't, or whether it's people in our lives that are making us feel like we are something that we are not. Whatever it may be, our life is constantly pushing us in this direction to be something other than what we were meant to be. To remain authentic means to be true to oneself despite the environment's pressure to be different. It means to move at your own pace, but also be the best you can be. So, the first thing I want to touch upon is being the best you can be. Being authentic demands that you're willing to open up and actively search to better yourself. This doesn't mean going to other people and asking them for the validation on how you could be better. While that could be useful and you can use their words, and it would be really smart and wise of you to interpret their words, you have to be willing to figure it out on your own, to make mistakes, to realize that growth lies on the edge of discomfort, to actually become uncomfortable. That's what it means to be the best you can be, is by constantly opening yourself up to opportunities that normally you wouldn't have, and understanding that in order to take these opportunities, you have to be willing to be who you are and present that adversity with who you are. Otherwise, you're not going to overcome it. The next thing I want to talk about is moving at your own pace. Another thing, right? I said growth lies on the edge of discomfort, which is true, but do not make yourself miserable, okay? So, being able to put yourself in a position that's new, you're also capable of understanding that you call the shots in the situation, at least the way you respond, right? We can't control the situation, but we can control the way we respond to the situation. We can't control the way people react to us, but we can't control the way we react to them, right? Overall, our emotions are a part of us, and they can lead us to not be authentic. And what it means to move at your own pace means to not let anything else dictate you or what you have decided to do, right? Let's say you're at a new job and it demands high work ethic. How are you going to be able to adapt to something you've never been in before without moving at your own pace? If you're forcing yourself to move at a pace that's not your pace, right? Like pushing yourself to go play in the NBA when all you've ever played was junior league basketball, and you're a little kid that's playing with all these adults, you're putting yourself in a position to be miserable. You're setting yourself up for failure. So you have to be willing to allow yourself to step back and be able to see the entire situation as what it is. Okay? These are the things I'm trying to do. This is what I'm aiming to be. I want to be the best version of myself in the situation, but I also have to move at my own pace. That is the essence of authenticity. All right? But the biggest thing that divides us from actually doing these things is allowing other people to have input on what we wish to be, right? The only person that gave us human value was God. The only person that bestowed us our own way of thinking, our own way of working around certain things, our own critical thinking skill, our own way we interpret information is God. So why does anybody else get input on my life and chooses how I decide to react or chooses how I decide to live? It doesn't make sense, right? You look at people around you and you see them starting to tell you this is how you should live. This is why the Bible always tells us, do not let your right hand know what your left hand is doing, or your left hand know what your right hand is doing. I think I butchered that, but it doesn't really matter. If you let other people know about what you are doing, they're going to want to influence your life, especially when people see you being better than them. A lot of times people will hate upon you, right? People don't want to see people doing better than them, and that's why they will start to tell you to stop doing these things. They'll tell you to not be this way because they can only see it their way. So don't start trying to expect people to understand you, because at times you don't even understand yourself. So how can you expect people to understand what's incapable of understanding fully by yourself, right? The problem is with people is they push us to their expectations. And by pushing us to their expectations, we can end up living in a way that we can never truly fulfill. Sometimes people's expectations are unreasonable. These expectations could be perfection. And I tell you now that perfection is a unwinnable, unchaseable, and miserable journey, because all you'll end up doing is falling short every single time. You're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to keep running in circles and you're not going to grow. That's the problem with living for other people's expectations. Another thing I wanted to bring up is that living authentic means to commit to your purpose and to remain steadfast to that purpose despite what others think. Right? Like I said before, living towards other people's expectation causes us to lean back and say, okay, I don't want to be this. Right? When we search for a purpose and we decide that, well, this is what we want to be, this is where we want to go, the problem is that we're going to have to do things that are going to separate us from other individuals. Let's say you want to be a basketball player, and every single other person in this world also wants to be a basketball player, all right? So what separates you from everybody else? Notice how I didn't say what makes you different, because there's a difference between separating yourself and being different. Being different simply just means to do something that's not the usual, right? It doesn't mean you did anything that's going to really make you stand out. I guess in your own right, you do stand out, right? When everybody's going to work Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, you're doing something different. You're going, let me go Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. No. The person who's doing something that sets themselves apart is going Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. These are the people that they're going to be looking for, the people who have a work ethic. That's what allows you to remain authentic, because now you're not aiming for what everybody else is doing. You're not following the crowd. You're deciding to define your own way of success, right? So what this means is this leads you to your own ability to succeed, right? No one else is going to be able to compare to that, because that's what makes you unique. You're authentic, you're true to yourself, you're being who you are and who you're meant to be. You know, when you go to a job, the problem is you could have every single accolade and every single different type of award in the book, right? I'd say it doesn't really matter whether or not, some jobs would invite you. Of course, McDonald's would hire you if you had what they were looking for. They're looking for people who are brain dead. That's what McDonald's is looking for, all right? So don't be getting on the comments talking about McDonald's will hire. I don't care. When you're looking for an actual job, like, I don't know, something that is going to make you happy, right? Not something that is making other people happy, like Taco Bell. All right? So when you do actually go into that job interview, you and this other person will have the exact same grades, exact same GPA, exact same whatever. And what they're going to look at is who presents themselves better. All right? It doesn't really matter where you came from. It matters who you are presenting in that moment. Okay? So when you remain authentic, if you want to open yourself up to different opportunities, you're going to have to be willing to present who you are and not someone else's version of you. You got to do something that's going to make you stand out. It's going to separate you from everybody else. Because in a job, the people who get cut off or get laid off are the people who do everything the same as everybody else. Those are robots. Those are bots, all right? So the people who actually become invaluable and tangible are the people who are actually separating themselves from the entire crowd. These are the people that the company won't throw away, because they know that if they throw them away, they are dishing themselves a bad hand. These people are valuable because they're adding something different. They're remaining authentic. They have a harder work ethic. There are many different ways of remaining authentic, whether it's a hard work ethic or whether it's different kinds of morals or a different way of doing things. It doesn't really matter, but you have to be able to define what makes you authentic. before you're capable of being successful, before you're capable of being in a relationship, before you're capable of doing the thing that you set out to do. You've got to realize that it all stems from authenticity. So where do you stand? God bless. I'll see you soon.